Welcome to Saturday Night Live. Hello, everybody. I'm talking today about nonprofits, but I'm talking specifically to those who have nonprofits and are in what I like to call the summer slump, or you're in a period where you're a little discouraged. I'm just going to say, with the private membership that I have, a few people have done events, and after the events, they've been completely wiped out. So today, I'm going to provide some encouragement for when you feel wiped out and you don't know what's next for your nonprofit. All right. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Tiffany. I started Boston a Budget because I couldn't find any information about people who wanted to start nonprofits from the ground up. I couldn't find information about how to raise money. I couldn't find information about just what do you do? What are your next steps? So I started to create those resources, and I wanted a place where people could go judgment free to get the information they need. Because somehow people think you should just know this stuff, and that's just not how it works. So if you are on the live, thank you for watching. Please drop your name, tell us where you're from, tell us the mission of your nonprofit if you have one, because you never know who's watching. And some of these videos I do keep up. Some I take down for my private membership, which is called the Activate Your Purpose and Profit Society. If you are an APP member here on the live, just say woo or hooty hoo or whatever you got to say to identify yourself. Okay. All right, y'all. So while I'm waiting for you all to introduce yourselves, make friends in the chat. Make sure you connect with people who are in your local area or people who are doing similar work. I just want to give an announcement really quickly. I may have some interruption. So if I do have an interruption or a little one gets on the screen, please don't mind me. Just warning y'all now. All right. I know I haven't been live in a while, so I know it's going to take a while for people to come in, but I'm going to jump right in. And I'm going to share three things, three things that I want you to remember if you're feeling like you don't know what's next, or you're frustrated that you're not growing faster, you're frustrated where you don't feel like you should be, you feel like you should be further along than you are. I'm going to give you three encouragements today. The name of the membership is Activate Your Purpose and Profit. It's the APP Society. So I'll go ahead and drop it in the links for y'all so you can see and sign up for the waiting list. All right. So if you're with me, I want y'all to say number one, hey, Baltimore in the house, Maryland. All right. I said, oh, y'all from everywhere: Louisiana, Florida, San Antonio, Arizona. Okay, y'all, we are all over the place today. So y'all put number one in the chat just so I know that you're with me. Okay. This is the first thing I want you to remember. I want you to remember that every interaction matters. So, what do I mean by that? I just mean that you're going to meet some people along your journey where you have no idea what will spark from that conversation. You have no idea what will spark as a result of you interacting with them. So, when you're thinking about your nonprofit, you always need to come from a place of gratefulness, thankfulness, and just abundance. Just knowing that any opportunity can bring fruit. And that's what I mean when I talk about coming from a place of abundance. Because sometimes we feel empty. Sometimes we're not actually coming from a place of abundance. Sometimes we're not actually coming from a place where we feel good about where our business is or where our nonprofit is. And so I'm acknowledging that right now on this chat. If that's you, be honest, no judgment here. But your conversations don't necessarily have to reflect that, right? Or the interactions you have with people don't need to reflect that, right? So you have to have a place. And I think I talked to my private membership about this a couple weeks ago. Where is that place that you can go to find your source? Sometimes you're going to feel empty and you need to replenish. So, what are the things or the people that will help you refuel so that when you do interact with people, it's not a reflection of a lack or, frustration? So, for me, when I get frustrated in my business, I read comments because they leave a lot of comments on my videos. People email me all the time. And those things actually make me smile. Those things encourage me. I spend time with my family because that grounds me. It makes me remember, helps me remember what matters. And in the end, what matters most are the people that I love. And I can't let small things get to me or small interruptions get to me, right? So, reason why I'm saying that is I want to make sure that when you approach people, even if you feel tired, even if you feel fed up, because people have let you down over and over and over again. Even if that has been your story, it does not have to be reflected in your smile. It does not have to be reflected in your interactions, right? So, as an example, I practiced this when I helped an organization raise their startup funding. They needed to raise $100,000. They were engaging a lot of people to raise money for them, but some people were not doing what they're supposed to do, right? Everybody had to raise $5,000. They had a plan, they had all the tools, they had all the support that they needed. And some people just did not pull through. Some people did not do what they promised to do, right? And me, feeling the pressure, like everybody wants me to launch this campaign to raise this $100,000, and feeling that pressure, I could have easily went to those people and said, "Why aren't you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Why aren't you fulfilling your promise?" Right? It's so easy to do that. But instead, I approached them and said, "Thank you." Even if they raised $200, even if they raised $500, I still said, "Thank you." You want to know why? And I still approached them with a spirit of gratefulness. And every interaction I had, I made sure I said thank you, and I made sure they felt heard and seen. Because a lot of people were like, "Oh, I got caught up," or "Something happened with my family," or some people, kind of fell off and didn't say anything. But you never know who that person may introduce you to. You never know, as a result of that interaction with you, what that person will be inspired to do later. There may be another situation later where they may feel like, "Oh, I'm going to bless this person in this way." That's just, you just never know. And here's one thing I want y'all to know. You don't really understand. And I know we hear this a lot, but it's so true. You have no idea what people are going through. No idea. And the way they show up, sometimes people show up with attitude. Sometimes people show up, with a stank face. But a lot of that is coming from hurt. A lot of that is coming from lack in their own life. And a lot of times people don't realize what they're doing to let other people down. A lot of people don't realize how much they're letting people down. And so I need y'all to not take it personally. I need y'all to just say it's okay. Every interaction you have, you want to lead with gratefulness. You want to lead with thankfulness, because every single interaction matters. You have no idea. Let me tell y'all something. When I say let me tell y'all something, you should know I'm going off script. These are not in my notes. This just came up in my head. So I work in the field. It's called child welfare. Very small field. If you work nationally in child welfare, child abuse, neglect issues, you pretty much have, if you work in like 3-4 years, you pretty much have met everybody or interacted with everybody who does work nationally. And there are people that I met in my very first job. Those people that I met in my very first job, I'm actually interacting with today. And those people are blessing me with work today, 15 years later. Those people are vouching for me today and helping me to earn money today as a result of my interactions with them 15 years ago. There are people that I met who were in certain positions when I was in a previous job who are now in high positions. Two people in particular that I worked with in a government agency who now work at a foundation that gives millions of dollars. And I had small interactions with them, but they remembered me. And then when I interacted with them in their new role, they remembered me. They have a listening ear for me. They're like, "Oh, I know Tiffany." They'll introduce me to people, all those things. So I just want to say, y'all, you have no idea who you're talking to today, who will be opening doors for you 20 years from now, 2 months from now, all of that. Am I right? Have y'all experienced that? Hey, Veronica. Hey, Gabrielle. I saw you earlier. Hey, Kim. I've missed you too. It's been a minute. It's only been 2 weeks, but I feel like I have not been on here. and I missed y'all. So that's number one. Remember that every interaction matters. And even if you're in a slump, try to think about who you can meet next. I always tell people that when you feel like you're in a slump, when you feel like nothing is moving, then I always tell people get on the phone or start emailing folks, people you've interacted with before, people who have blessed your nonprofit or donated to you before, or said a kind word about your nonprofit, or expressed interest in your nonprofit. Call them up, talk to them, share what you're doing, meet new people, ask them to introduce you to somebody who may be interested, right? One of the best ways to get new opportunities is for the people you already know and who trust you when they recommend you to somebody else. That peer-to-peer kind of stuff, that kind of networking stuff works in any kind of field. So when you feel stuck and you feel like you're not moving fast enough, think about all your interactions that you have with people and go back to them and drum up more conversations, because with conversations come connection. Oh, I just made that up. I'm so proud of myself. With conversations come connections. First time y'all heard this here. Where's my air horn? Oh, y'all can't hear it because it's not loud enough. See, I'm out of practice because I haven't been going live. Let's try it again. Air horn. Number 2. Whitney said, yeah, glow. I like that song. Number 2, drop number 2 if you are still with me. And if you're just joining, I'm talking about what to focus on when you feel like you're not moving fast enough or when your nonprofit is not growing at the pace you want it to grow. I'm giving you 3 tips today for how to get through. All right. And then I'm going to share just a couple of my thoughts at the end. Second one is do not forsake your small beginnings. This came up in the APP Society. So it's a private membership I have to encourage folks to have accountability and to learn how to raise money. And we're talking about press. And I go live every week in the private Facebook group. And we were talking about getting press and what to do to leverage press. And Michelle, one of the members, kind of summed up what I was saying. And I loved it so much, which is why I'm talking about it today. Don't forsake the small beginnings. I think she said the humble beginnings, because everybody starts somewhere, right? So there are people who run events and run conferences who started with 20 people in the room, and now there are 500 people in the room. There are people who provide services who start with 2 people showing up, and now they have a waiting list for the kind of services that they provide. If you feel like you should automatically come out the gate perfect, you should automatically come out the gate, your very first set of services, A++, then you're being unrealistic. And honestly, you're creating unnecessary stress for yourself. You're going to always have a humble start. And some people have better starts than others. But there are always going to be moments that aren't going to meet your expectations, right? They aren't going to make you feel great. You thought you could have done better. But I encourage you to welcome those moments, because that means the opportunity is that much greater for you to grow. That means the field and the opportunity for you to grow, the runway for you to grow and get out there is so much wider, and the opportunities are there for you. So don't expect when you're starting and you're raising money that you're going to get a grant for $100,000. Just don't expect that, okay? For some people, they know how to work it. They know how to work the room, and they know people. That may be a reality for them. But I'm going to be real with y'all right now. That's not a reality for most people. But that's okay. I mean, who said that had to be the reality? I know that's what you want, but sometimes it's something you can't handle. Sometimes you got to realize, can we actually handle $100,000? If I can't even get my board 3 people to show up to work together, can I get 3 people to show up to actually execute and use this money, right? So you just have to start thinking about, okay, how am I going to sequentially get to where I'm going to be? And what are the milestones that feel good for me, right? So sometimes you're going to launch something and nobody's going to show up. Oh my goodness, that hurts. But that's okay. That is okay. That is normal. I want to start normalizing, y'all, the startup process. I say it all the time because I really need you to understand and believe me. Most people are not going to do what you do. Most people aren't going to be as dedicated. They're not going to be as tenacious. They're not going to be as strong because it's hard. And for a lot of people, their goal isn't necessarily to just have great services. They're trying to make money or they're trying to reach certain goals. And so having a nonprofit is not like a beeline to making a lot of money. Like that's not what I would advise people to do if they want to make money and build a personal legacy of wealth for themselves. No, the first thing you would do is not start a nonprofit because the work is slow, it takes time, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it makes you wealthy because that money doesn't belong to you, whatever money that you make. So, most people are not going to do what you're going to do for that reason. Most people aren't going to stick with it or feel the need to stick with it. But you are something special because you're still here and you're using your money. You believe there's a calling, there's a purpose on your life, and you're actually helping people and you don't realize it, but you are literally helping people. You're literally inspiring the people who are watching you, the people who need you, even if it's one person. Do you know that it only takes impacting one person's life to change a community or to change the world? Do you know that? And that's the only way we're going to get through this mess of the world we're in. That's the only way. Those person to person interactions, please know that if you're helping those 5 kids in your neighborhood or those 5 families or those 5 elders in your neighborhood, that you are making a difference, that it is changing, that people are watching you and it impacts how they treat who they work with, that I want you to see yourself as leaders because you are, that you are the model for people because so many people aren't going to do what you are willing to do. So many people aren't willing to sacrifice the way you're willing to sacrifice for the good of the people. So I need you to start talking to yourself like that. And I need you to honor yourself. And I need you to understand that just because when you're starting, I said all that to say it's hard. So if you come out the gate, you're starting and your services aren't perfect and things aren't coming through together, that's because that's life. That's the way it's supposed to be. And let me tell you something. Even 5 years in, you may feel like I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been hemming and hawing for 5 years, and I still haven't got it right. There are things in my business I still haven't gotten right. I've been doing this for 8 years, maybe. There are things that I still haven't perfected. There are things I still haven't done. And the thing that I've realized lately is that it's not about it being perfect. It's not about it being perfect. It's about what season I'm in and what I'm supposed to learn today. What am I supposed to learn and who am I supposed to impact today? That's it. So I went on a whole rant. Hey, Cheryl. I went on a whole rant just so you all know that the humble beginnings are what it's supposed to be, right? The small beginnings, the small people showing up, the small donations, the small conversations, they build, they snowball, and they get bigger and bigger. Okay. So I see a question real quick because you put it a couple times. You say, hey Cheryl, I am well. Thank you, Dr. Noberto. Do I assist with 501c1A? No, I do not. And even with 501, hey, Dr. Talib, APP in the house. With 501c3, I have a package that teaches you how to do it. I do not do paperwork for people, but I have referrals if you want somebody to do it for you. Just email me at info@bossonabudget.com and I will send you their information. Got it? All right. So that's number 2. Don't forsake your small beginnings. And I want you to document your small beginnings. I want you to document the number of people who show up. Document the size of your donations and the number of your donations because it's going to grow, right? If you keep working at it, you keep learning from the process, you keep reflecting, assessing, you are going to grow and it's going to encourage you to see the growth Because what's going to happen is you're going to look back and be like, I didn't realize all that I've done. Because it's important for you to reflect on what you've done well. You're going to look back on that and be like, oh, I actually have done some great things. I actually did make a difference. I actually did do something, right? So document your small beginnings. Don't forsake the small beginnings because they are the building blocks for your success. Okay. Number 3. Hey, Darby, another APP member in the house. The third thing I want you to remember in the times that it gets slow or you're frustrated that you're not where you feel like you need to be, which you're going to feel that in the summertime because there's just a slump naturally for most things. And it starts to heat up come fall. It starts to be like, oh, snap in the fall. But in the summer, sometimes it can feel really slow and people aren't as responsive, right? Because people vacation, people are doing all kinds of things. This is the third thing I want you to remember. Change your focus. So, and go ahead and write that in the chat if you're with me. Change your focus. So a lot of times people think from fundraiser to fundraiser or from campaign to campaign, and they're only thinking about that campaign. But they're not realizing that the first campaign for your fundraising builds on the second, builds on the third. It's all connected. What do I mean by that? So you run a fundraiser, you raise $500, you wanted to raise $2,000, and you're frustrated because it just didn't do enough for you, right? But you're losing sight of the bigger picture, right? You're losing sight of the fact that there are people who interacted with you, whose information that you probably should, I hope you did, gather, and you can start having conversations with them, right? Because it's not about me asking, me getting the money, and me walking away. And I'm specifically talking about fundraising with this. That's not what it's about. Too many times we get stuck and we get mad because I asked you, you said no, I'm upset, I'm moving on, right? Or I asked you, you said no, okay, whatever, and I'm moving on. But we have to think about the life cycle of fundraising, of the ask. When the ask has very little to do, like you asking people for money has very little to do with you actually raising the money. It's about the conversations you have. It's about the follow-up. And a lot of times, the first time you ask somebody who doesn't know your mission very well, most times they will say no. Or most times they're not going to give you a big amount. And that's what people don't realize. They think, well, I ask you for money. I give you a really powerful story. I did everything right. Why are you not giving me money right now? Right? And there are so many different reasons why a person is not going to give you money. A lot of them has nothing to do with you personally. But because you're the person in front of them asking, it feels like an assault on you. How could you tell me no? I just practiced this pitch. It took forever for me to get the nerve up to ask you, and then you have the nerve to say no to me. I like tickling myself. But what you have to realize is that's not how fundraising works. You know, it's a cycle. It's a whole process. There are people that you will meet in 2024 who won't give you a gift until 2027. And my question is, are you going to wait out that process in order to see that gift? There are some people for some nonprofits who they gave maybe $1 or they gave less than $100. And then all of a sudden gave this humongous gift out of the blue years later because of their connection to the cause. So the reason why I want you to, when I say change your focus, I mean zoom out. Stop focusing on the one campaign or the one ask. Zoom out. Remember, you're in this for the long haul. Because a lot of people, if it doesn't work, and you do it for a year, you give up. Well, it takes a lot of momentum to get where you needing to go. And I'm not saying don't take breaks or don't pace yourself. Yeah, but just know it takes momentum to get where you're trying to go, to be able to be financially sustainable. And so you have to think bigger. You have to think years from now. The things that I'm doing now will pay off 3 years from now. The things I'm investing in now will pay off 4 years from now. Some stuff will pay off 6 months from now. Some stuff will pay off next week. But if you stop focusing just on the week or the month or even the year and zoom out and say, man, if I am deliberate about planting seeds that I know will come to fruition maybe 3 or 4 years from now, it will change everything. Stop focusing so much on what is not happening right now and even what is happening right now. Because what happens sometimes is people get excited that they get a win, they get a big win. And then they forget that around the corner, you still got to raise money. Around the corner, there's still another year. Around the corner, something else is going to happen that you have to prepare for. So you have to take a step back, think bigger, be more strategic about how you make connections. It's not just about getting to the next grant. That's part of the story, but it's so much bigger than that, right? So what's your overall focus? What's your overall point? And your overall point isn't just to ask people for money. Your overall point is to engage people, to get them to care about what you're doing, and to get them to fall in love with the work that you're doing. So you're telling stories about what you're doing. You're always reflecting. You're sharing information, right? Even if you're not deliberately asking for anything, you're still keeping them updated, right? I learned this the hard way. Let me be honest, and then I'm gonna sit down and shut up. Hey, Coach Coop. Hey, Mika. So, and I wasn't gonna say this. I say that every week, but I really wasn't. But I have an email list, right? And so I started to email my email list. There's about probably like 9,000 people, I think, that I email every Saturday. And I started to do it every Saturday in 2020. I made a goal for myself to email every week. But the reason why I started doing it was because all the gurus said, that's how you make money. Right. So that's why I did it. Cause I'm like, okay, if I do that and then I'll, sell some of my digital products so I can, help sustain and make sure Boss on a Budget can stay alive. I'll sell some of my products. And I realized that when I would email people, not everybody would click the link, or not everybody would, buy a workbook or buy a masterclass. And I would say to myself, well, they said that you're supposed to sell an email. They said you're supposed to put the links. Am I not doing something wrong? So I tried different things. And sometimes people click the links and sometimes people do purchase and sometimes they don't. And I realized that that's not what it's for. Right? I can still sell and I can still, share the information that I'm selling and my workbooks and my, membership. But the point of it is to build relationships with y'all. The point of it is every time you read an email from me, that that someone out there knows your story, sees you, hears you, and cares. That literally, if you reply to those emails, I literally reply back. The point of it is for me to build a community of people who found their people or found somebody who can speak their language, speak to what they're dealing with. Right. So the main point of me doing that is not to sell or to get what I need. It is to build a sense of community so that people there's a place that they know they can get information. There's a place that they know that they can trust, that will see them and know their journey. That's the point. Like the point of it, and to make it connect to what you're doing, the point of it is not I'm building an email list or I'm building my social media so that eventually people will give. And that's the point. That's not the point. That is part of the work. That's part of the purpose. But the real point is you want people to be a part of your community. You want people to build trust in you. You want people to know you. You want people to refer you. You want people to recommend you. You want people to say your name in places that you'll never touch physically unless they recommend you, right? That's the point. And I had to learn that throughout my journey, because I'd be like, oh, I got 9,000 people on here. I'm being so real with y'all. And I'm like, not that many people are clicking, but that's not what it's about. I can guarantee you, though, every week somebody replies to an email and talks to me. I can guarantee you every single week somebody replies. And it's not about them buying anything from me, it's about them feeling heard. I talked to somebody who, and I'm going to end with this story and then I'm going to answer some questions. But I talked to somebody, I do free calls. I can't do as much because of my schedule, but she literally cried when I got on the phone. And at first I was confused because I was like, are you crying because you're talking to me? Like, are you crying? And she was really like, I just have been really struggling and I can't believe that you called me. I can't believe that you spoke to me. And it really touched me to hear her say that because she said, I've been trying so hard. I've been struggling, but I know I'm on the right path and I just wanted to hear your voice. And in that moment, she said, I don't really have the money. And when I do, when I get myself together, I'm going to join your community. I'm going to join, and do what I need to do. And that's what I need y'all to remember, that what matters most is your sense of community, how you make people feel, how you inspire people, how you motivate people. Some people are just going to watch you and not do anything. And that's okay, because you'll be so surprised by how they're willing to stand up for you and show up for you later. But if you approach it, like I said in number 1, mad, frustrated, if you don't pay attention to your interactions with people, then they're going to walk away feeling some kind of way. And you have no idea the possibilities in front of you. So I just want y'all to understand that this is so much bigger than getting the money you need. That is important, but it's a rate. It's a, what do you call it? It's not a sprint. It's a race. Did I get that right? Somebody's going to correct me. Thank y'all. You got to take your time, and it's going to take some time. Sometimes you're going to hit and it's going to be perfect. And sometimes it's going to be really hard. So just remember that, okay? If you got to remind yourself, find somebody to encourage you. If you got to remind yourself, come back to a video, come back to your notes, write affirmations to yourself, remind yourself that you got to pace yourself, all right? So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let me see. Thank you. All right, let me read some comments because I feel like I didn't answer some questions. Modern Day Disciple said, I get the emails, can't make it all the time, but I appreciate the content. It's genuine and I feel you really love helping others. Thank you, Modern Day Disciples. How long did it take to get to 9,000 people? Well, I have more than that across all my emails, but for that Saturday email, it's about 9,000. I've been doing this since 2016, so it's taken about, since then, 7-8 years. Erica said, it's truly a process. Zooming out really does work. And then Cheryl said, when you ask, you plant a seed. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Just making sure. Shannon said, highly recommend reading The 4 Agreements, which echoes Tiffany's message. Has anyone else read that book? I've heard about it, but I haven't taken the time to read it. Okay. I've had several construction companies let us down with donations, but I don't know how often I should remind them. How often do you email or call after how long? I would do at least 3 reminders. And just pace it out. If they've promised, if they've committed, then I would do at least 3 reminders and then maybe let more time stretch out and then reach out after that. But it depends on if they promised or if they just said that they're willing. When I say promise, I mean they said an amount they're going to give and they committed to a donation. Sometimes it just takes time. SIBIS mission in Maryland, we have 4 hunger relief programs. We've had our 501c3 since November 2023. Never have gotten a grant. Fundraisers are less than 500. It's only the beginning. Only the beginning. Make sure you check out your Walmart grants and make sure you check in with the Community Foundation. Especially, I can't remember if you're in Prince George's County, but if you're anywhere on the DC side, make sure you check in with the Community Foundation because they're doing some work to support smaller nonprofits. I just recently heard about that. All right. So let me go to Instagram, see if I missed anything. I don't think so. Do I know about 508? Yes. What was your question about 508? I do. All right, people just introducing themselves. Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Thank y'all so much. If you're still on here, the person who asked about 501, 508, just let me know. Darby said the race is not given to the swift, but to those that endure to the end. Amen. All right, let me round up. I see one question, so I answer that before I round up. So the question is, what's the benefit in having a nonprofit own an LLC? So if you want to conduct some business activities that are not related to your mission, right? But it is a way for your organization to be sustainable, to make money, and you don't want to put your 501c3 status at risk, that's why you would own an LLC. That's not the only option, but that is an option. So nonprofits can own LLCs, and so the nonprofit is the owner. And if you do business activities not related to your mission, you'll get charged tax for it. And if it's a certain percentage of the work you do, then the IRS may take away your tax exempt status. So that's why you would create a separate entity as a business to do that. Some people do that. What is the best bank to bank with for a nonprofit startup? A local bank, a local or regional bank. Try your credit unions. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there may be products or things that they can introduce you to, like loans or credit cards and things like that. And they'll be more amenable and more understanding. And you can actually go in there and talk to them and build relationships. And most of the banks have an obligation to their local community, so they also give grants. So for people who are looking for grants, make sure you talk to your bank, your local banks, especially where you bank. Do an inventory of where you bank, where you shop, where you frequent a lot, all the things. Shoot, go to your gym. Your gym probably has a local grant, especially if it's like like a franchise gyms, like child, I don't work out because I can't even remember the name of the gyms. Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness. Retro Fitness. I know a couple of them. Gold's Gym. Try your gyms, all of those places, because they do likely have community grants. So start there. All right. So to round up, if you're feeling a summer slump, remember every interaction matters. Approach every interaction with thankfulness and gratefulness. It will pay off. Don't forsake the small beginnings or the humble beginnings. Everybody starts somewhere, and change your focus. Zoom out. Don't just focus on, that one campaign or that one ask, but think about the bigger picture and how it all fits together for a bigger purpose. And never forget, your job is to build a community of people who care about your mission. And some of those people are going to step up for you and give. Some of those people are going to step up and be board members. Some of them are going to step up and be volunteers. They're all going to pitch in if they feel a connection to you. But a lot of times people do it when they are ready. So we just got to be there when they're ready. And sometimes we push a sense of urgency, and that's okay. To let people know, we need you now. We need you to give now. We need you to donate or volunteer now. And sometimes you just got to wait for people to decide when they're ready, right? So all in time. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'm so glad I missed y'all. I'll be back on here next Sunday, and I will see you then. Bye, y'all. Oh, is it a question? I missed the question. Oh. All right. See y'all later. Bye.